Hey folks, Pepper Princess. So today we are going to talk a little bit about the lost art of leftovers. So what I'm doing right now, I'm combining leftovers with new food that I've got in my cupboard. A lot of people think that you have to pretty much take leftovers from a meal, put it in a little container, and then you'll have a full meal the next day. Well, it doesn't always work like that. So for leftovers, I've got some wild wings. I've got 4 of them. One of them is sweet chili, and the rest are regular buffalo. Those are from Winco. And then I've got a can of green beans, and I am making some pastaroni. Quick disclaimer, I did not say it was healthy. When I do these cheap meals or these meals that cost very little money, I'm not doing it because they're healthy. Okay, when you're eating on a really, really strict budget, you're going to have mostly grain, mostly things that don't expire for a long time. And a lot of people expect me to come in here making dollar meals that are like vegan, non-GMO, wonderful, they pretty much want everything for nothing. They want lobster pilaf or something for like $1, and I'm sorry, that's not realistic. So I'm being totally realistic with you. And the pastaroni costs I want to say they were like 2 for $1 on sale, but they're usually about $1. And this is 2 servings, so that's 50 cents. The green beans were like 28 cents, Winco brand. The Buffalo Wild Wings, honestly, I don't know the price because there's only 4 of them, and they do it by the pound. So I'm not quite sure. But when it comes to leftovers, Americans waste 40% of the food that they buy. 40% of the food that you buy is wasted. And you know what we do. We make food, and we put it in the fridge with every intention of eating it later. And then we get a new food, and that old food gets shoved out to the back of the fridge. We forget about it, and it goes bad, so we throw it out. So one of the biggest ways that you can possibly save money is by learning how to cook. And then once you learn how to cook, the second trick is to eat everything that you make so you don't waste any food. I mean, think about this. When I tell people, add water to everything. Add water, 10% water to your shampoo. You just save yourself 10%. Add 10% to your laundry detergent, 20%, 30% to your laundry detergent. You just saved 30%. Same thing with food. If you could get to a point where you're at a zero waste household, you just saved 40% on your groceries. And as all of you know, we are going through inflation and shrinkflation at the grocery store. Inflation is when the price goes up. Shrinkflation is when the packaging gets smaller, but the price stays the same. And things are getting really expensive at the store. To be honest with you, I think I've pretty much reached the top of how many $1 meals I can make. I might have to switch them to $2 meals because there's not really everything that is still $1. I've pretty much made a meal on it. Pancake mix, that's really cheap. Potatoes are really cheap. Rice and beans are really cheap. So if you can make something with that as your base as a meal, it's going to go a lot further. And I don't spend a lot of money on food, but there are a lot of people who can't spend a lot of money on food. I do it by choice. A lot of people out there don't have a choice. They get their food stamps, and they have to stretch that. And food stamps are going down too. So what are we going to do? We can't eat healthy 100% of the time. And realistically, that's not how we eat anyway. So I would be very untruthful if I were going to tell you, oh, I eat healthy all the time. All I eat is sprigs and nuts and leaves all day long. But that's not how I eat. I eat real American food. I eat burgers. I make them myself. I don't buy them at, McDonald's or Burger King unless I have a coupon or a gift card. But, I make chicken. I eat things that are on sale, and It's the best way that you can save money on food. And a lot of people will have the argument in the comment section, well, I choose to spend 5 times as much money on food because I'm going to be healthier and live longer than you. There are not, I'm telling you, there are no scientific studies that prove that eating non-GMO, fresh grown food as opposed to not regular GMO food is going to make your life longer. And take, for instance, Jules Dervais. He's part of the Dervais family in Los Angeles who grow all of their own fruit and vegetables. He was a hardcore, I believe he was a vegan, or at least a vegetarian. And he was that way for almost all of his life. And he died fairly young. He died at an average age. And, I'm not making light of it, but I'm just saying, a lot of people argue, and a lot of people don't have the means to buy organic whole produce all the time. So when I do cooking videos, I'm doing them for real. Leftovers are absolutely an art form. So back in the day, 40s, 50s, and 60s, people did not have leftovers. What they would do, and by the way, refrigerators, they used to have the cooling box. But refrigerators in the United States are so much bigger than refrigerators in other countries. And the electricity, that we consume in order to keep those refrigerators cool is a huge amount. But most people will shop a couple times a week, but they will go through everything before they go and shop again. Their food prices are higher than ours, and I think that sometimes we take for granted how cheap our food is. Even though we suffer from shrinkflation and inflation, we still have amazingly subsidized food prices. They might have free health care, but that money's got to come from somewhere, so their food is a lot more expensive. It's just the way of the world. Okay, I'm going to leave this to sit for about 5 to 10 minutes, I think it says, so until it gets solidified. Then we're going to go and have our dinner. Looks good. All right, folks, so we are back and we are having the lost art of leftovers. So what I was saying earlier, I think that I didn't fully talk about was back in the day, they didn't have leftovers. They would cook for their family, and that's where the term clean your plate came from, so that they wouldn't have leftovers. And if they did, they were considered either poor or they were afraid that they were going to get sick from their leftovers. So leftovers are a little bit different now that we've got reliable electricity and refrigerators. So it's something that I think is a lost art. And if you have something like in your fridge and you think that it doesn't go together, like you want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and scrambled eggs, go for it. Have whatever you want. If your kids are able to cook enough and they're old enough, have at it. As long as you won't be wasting food, I say go for it. Green beans, my favorite. Then we've got the Buffalo Wild Wings. These are the leftovers. Messy. It's been a long week at work. I've been working 60 hours a week for about 2.5 months now. And I have to admit, I'm tired. I'm a little bit burned out, but I know that when I move to Arizona, I'll never make the wage that I make now. And doing overtime, you get time and a half. So I will definitely never make the wage that I make now. So I'm just saving as much as I can until I have to move. Noodles. I love angel hair pasta. So don't be afraid of leftovers, folks. Mix and match. If you only have a little bit of something in the fridge, and you can cook something up to put something together. You know, you're still using up your leftovers, and then you're adding new food. And then you can use those leftovers again for tomorrow. So good. All right, everybody, do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out. Hey folks, Prepper Princess. So today we are going to talk about the lost art of leftovers. I apologize, but I can't find the little doohickey that goes on my micro... Oh, is that it? Never mind, just a minute. Oh. Getting my workout on.
I can ride.
You get a ride?
Yeah.
That's
Well, I remember you got ready to be like that.
Wow. Look at that. She Carla. She's losing straight.
I am not!
She's trying